As we are heading to the conclusion of 2018, in this video, I want to look back and look at some of the best PlayStation 4 open world games of 2018 so far. Now, specifically, I'm going to be looking at 10 games, but before I get into this video, I just want to say I am recording this video on October 25th, just one day before the release of Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, based on the early reviews of the game, RDR2 would have a prominent featuring on this list. However, I haven't played it yet, so we'll do an updated video at the end of the year and look at 2018 as a whole. But prior to the release of RDR2, these are the 10 best PlayStation 4 open world games of 2018 so far. So with that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with an exclusive in Shadow of the Colossus. Now, Shadow of the Colossus was one of the most iconic PlayStation 2 games. It was released way back in the day on that platform, done by Team Ico, the guys that also did Ico. Shadow of the Colossus has been without a doubt their best game, and Bluepoint Games took the helm of the remake on the PlayStation 4. Now, this isn't a typical HD remastering. This is a ground-up remake for the PlayStation 4. We actually saw an HD remaster of Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 3, but you could tell right away when looking at this game, it's been built ground up for the PlayStation 4. And that's great, because the major issue with Shadow of the Colossus wasn't from a fundamental standpoint on its gameplay, it was really from a technical standpoint, and that's because it was so ahead of its time. But of course, being on the PlayStation 4, those shackles have completely come off, and you are experiencing one of the best games ever in the best way possible. Also, if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, the game looks and runs even better, so there's that as well. Shadow of the Colossus is already a must-play title, and it coming to the PlayStation 4 just enhances the game every way imaginable. Definitely give it a look. Let's go from one PlayStation 4 exclusive to another, and that is Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man has been one of the most anticipated PlayStation 4 exclusives ever. Based on sales standpoint, this was the best performing PlayStation exclusive ever. Yes, in a year that God of War was released, Marvel's Spider-Man even outpaced that, and it did so deservedly. This is a tremendous game. Insomniac did a fantastic job with the game, and they really captured the essence of Spider-Man in a fantastic open world adventure. Even if you're just exploring, going from building to building, it really makes you feel like Spider-Man. And then you take a look at the game from a content standpoint, and it is absolutely packed. Just going through the single player alone gives you a good vibe of the open world, because you're going from point to point and the web slinging is tremendous. But then you actually look at everything that the world has going for it, all of the different collectibles, side missions. There's so much to do in the game, and of course the game did just have its first piece of DLC release, so it's becoming a bigger and bigger experience. If you have a PlayStation 4 and you don't own Marvel Spider-Man, I don't know what to tell you. This has been one of the most anticipated games, and it is an absolute must-buy. Next up, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I have to be honest, going into the release of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I was a little bit more skeptical than most, especially because we were just coming off the release of Assassin's Creed Origins. I thought Ubisoft did a pretty good job with that game, but I actually like the fact that they took a year off between Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Assassin's Creed Origins. It gave the franchise a little bit room to breathe, but with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they were coming right back a year later, and I just figured the franchise would go back to getting a little bit stale. But AC Odyssey did revamp the franchise quite a bit. It still retains a lot of the fundamentals that Origins introduced. However, there are a lot of new mechanics introduced as well. A bigger focus on naval combat. You can pick which character you want to play as. If you liked Origins and you just want a more fleshed out experience and version of that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is definitely worth a buy. Let's go from one Ubisoft game to another. I also want to give a mention to Far Cry 5. Now, Far Cry 5 was a very good game. It really built off Far Cry 4. If you're not a big fan of the Far Cry fundamentals, I don't really think Far Cry 5 will win you over. However, it does perfect the formula of Far Cry. There's a gigantic open world here, the visuals are fantastic, and there's a lot of content here too. I can't really say the game innovated much, but I do have to say what is here is done very, very well, and there's a high level of polish to it as well. At this point, you can get the game relatively cheap as well, and I would say it's a good buy if you just want a quality open world adventure. Moving on from that, I do want to give a mention to Final Fantasy XV Royal Edition. Now, yes, Final Fantasy XV was released all the way back in late 2016, but the Royal Edition was released earlier this year, and this is the version of Final Fantasy XV that we should have gotten from the get-go. At this point, Final Fantasy XV has seen a lot of updates, and with the Royal Edition, of course, you get all those updates, but you get all of the Season Pass content as well. That includes Episode Prompto, Episode Gladius, and Episode Ignis, and that content really probably should have been in the game from the get-go. Those episodes did a great job of fleshing out those characters, and they were interspersed into the midst of the game, so you would think they should have just been there from the get-go. But on top of the Season Pass content, you also get the Royal Edition upgrade, which adds a sizable amount of content as well, a new area to explore, and of course, Final Final Fantasy 15 has had its Comrades multiplayer mode released as well, so this is a great version of Final Fantasy 15. Now, I can't say it's the complete version of Final Fantasy 15 because we do know that another season pass is on the way, and that's going to add even more content. So at this point, if you've already held off this far, maybe the best idea is to wait for the next batch of season pass content to release and then pick up the Ultimate Super Edition, which I'm sure Square Enix is going to put out. However, if you've been eager to play FF15, the Royal Edition is a fantastic pickup. Next up, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance. This is a game that I was personally looking forward to for a very long time. It's a historical RPG done by Warhorse Studio, and I have to say, from a thematical standpoint, Kingdom Come Deliverance really nails it. It really captures that medieval era, and from a visual standpoint, it looks fantastic. Now, from a technical standpoint, on launch, there were a host of issues. However, a lot of that has been remedied, and the experience you're getting with Kingdom Come Deliverance now versus what you were getting, say, 6 or 7 months ago, it's a lot better now. We've also had some DLC released, so if you want a quality, challenging RPG, I do have to say it is very challenging, and there is a little bit of a learning curve attached to it, then give Kingdom Come Deliverance a look because it will keep you busy for a very, very long time. Next up, Burnout Paradise Remastered. Now, Burnout Paradise Remastered was a game that I was very vocal about during its original release time. I thought it was a little bit overpriced at $39.99. However, at this point, you can easily find the game for sub $10. It was literally available for $9 during a recent PlayStation Store sale, and at that price, this game is absolutely tremendous. Now, this game was originally released back in January of 2008 on the PlayStation 3, so it's been a long time since the release, over 10 years, and there are some dated mechanics. However, if you just want a fun open world racing experience, it doesn't get much better than Burnout Paradise unless you do have an Xbox and you can check out Forza Horizon, which, yeah, I'll say Forza Horizon 4 is probably a bit better than Burnout Paradise, but over here on the PlayStation 4, we don't have that option. We don't have a ton of fantastic options for quality arcade racers, but Burnout Paradise definitely acts as one of those games that can fill that void, and at this point, given how cheap you can get it for, I would definitely give it a recommendation. Next up, we have Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. Dragon Quest XI marked the return of a traditional Dragon Quest game. It's been a long time coming. This is Square Enix's other major JRPG franchise alongside Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. However, Dragon Quest is one franchise that has been a little bit neglected in recent years, but now we saw a return to form with Dragon Quest XI. And unlike the Final Fantasy games where each Final Fantasy game really tries something different, with Dragon Quest XI, it really sticks to the fundamentals. This is a traditional turn-based JRPG, and even in 2018, it's a thoroughly enjoyable experience with a fantastic presentation, great music, fantastic cast of characters, and solid storytelling. If you're even remotely into old school JRPGs, DQ11 is going to be right up your alley. And if you just want a quality turn-based game to play, DQ11 is a fantastic buy. Next up, we have Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Now, this was a game I was talking up quite a bit ahead of its release, and while it's not absolutely perfect, as a Fist of the North Star game, if you're a fan of the IP, there's a lot to like here. There's a sizable amount of content here as well, but you really have to be a fan of Fist of the North Star to get a lot of the presentation quirks and gameplay elements, so do bear that in mind. Of course, it does have a lot of resemblance to the Yakuza franchise, and I've always talked highly about that franchise. I wouldn't say Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise is quite as good as those games, but it is a quality experience nonetheless, again, especially if you are a Fist of the North Star fan. And lastly, we have Ni no Kuni II Revenant Kingdom. Now, I was very much looking forward to Ni no Kuni II Revenant Kingdom. I love the first game, Wrath of the White Witch, and while I would say that Ni no Kuni II Revenant Kingdom doesn't quite meet the quality standard of Ni no Kuni 1, considering I thought so highly of Ni no Kuni 1, that doesn't really say much. Revenant Kingdom is still a fantastic game, and what I like about Ni no Kuni is that if you are foreign to JRPGs, if you're not a big fan of JRPGs, Ni no Kuni 2 is a game that you can really get into without being a fan of the genre. It features a pretty relatable story with a former king trying to reclaim his throne. The characters are quirky, they're likable, and it really doesn't bring on with it a lot of the JRPG tropes. Now, is it a super mature tale with blood, guts, and gore? Absolutely not, but it does have a gripping narrative that is emotional as well, and I think it's great for any age group. And at this point, this is another game you can get rather cheap, so not a ton of investment here, but a great JRPG nonetheless, a game that is also going to be getting some DLC content rather soon. So that is going to conclude this video, the 10 best PlayStation 4 open world games of 2018 so far. What do you think? Again, Red Dead Redemption 2, as of the recording of this video, is not out. We'll make an updated video at the end of this year, and I'm sure RDR2 will be featured prominently in that video, but these are 10 other great PS4 open world games that have been released in 2018. That's going to conclude this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. This video is brought to you by scdkeys.com. You need store credit to buy your games anyway, so why not get it for a bit cheaper? They've got PlayStation Network $50 credit codes, and after you use our special code with GC3, you'll be getting that for just $46.64. Also, if you're looking to buy games on your Nintendo Switch, they've also got Nintendo eShop codes for $45.59 after you use the code GC3. They've also got fantastic deals on PC software such as Windows 10 and Office 2019. Check out the links in the description box below to get great deals on everything I just mentioned.